Yeah, good day, my beautiful people. What we're going to be looking at today is totally different from what was known Independent TV 7 for. Yeah, we are into political news and entertainment and thereabout, and also current affairs. On this note, the headline for today says "Next of Kin." Now, who is a next of kin, and what is a next of kin, and how is next of kin affecting us in whichever way? Now, someone will say if someone dies, there is what they call next of kin, especially when it comes to bank accounts. I would say in the bank, you believe if someone dies and he has a large sum of money and huge sum of money or thereabout in his or her bank account, I believe there is a next of kin to oversee that money or that account or properties or will or thereabout. Now, so next of kin is useless in the bank. Is that a question, or does it have an answer? To continue, the real thing needed in the bank is, for instance, if you die today, your next of kin will not have access or will not have any access to the money in your account. Again, if is a conditional statement. If someone dies today, it means next of kin will not have any access to the money in that person's bank account or in your bank account. Let's assume. So many Nigerians think that their next of kin is the automatic heir to their accounts. But the truth is that if your next of kin is not a signatory to your account and you don't have a written will to determine that or that person's legitimacy, the person will not have access to that money at all. Now, your bank will have to go through a process called a legal probate. For those that may not really understand probation, thereabout. Now, this probate period helps them determine who gets the money in your account. One, and this is a very, very lengthy and expensive process. Even after the whole process is done, your family will have to forfeit some very reasonable amount of the sum of money for legal fees. Again, this probate period helps them determine who gets the money in your bank account or your properties or thereabout. There is a will that has been put down or put in place for the next of kin or thereabout. This is a very lengthy and expensive process. Even after the whole process is done, according to the storyline says your family will have to forfeit some very reasonable amount of the money for legal fees. But if you want to avoid this, and then simply request for your bank details or bank to give you something called a POD form. POD form, which simply means and also stands for payable on debt. The name of the person you fill in that POD form will determine who will get your money. All the person needs to bring is a debt certificate to get that money out. Now, with a POD form, you will save your family the stress of going through all that lengthy legal process or period and even losing some money to the law. As someone is thinking about this, says, I just thought I should let you have record of this important information. Now, the POD form, you will save your family the stress of going through all that lengthy legal process and even losing some money to the law. Now, what is a POD? It simply means a payable on debt, which involves the name of the person you fill in that POD form will determine who will get your money. And all the person needs to bring is a debt certificate to get that money out. Do you have a death certificate or birth certificate or whichever certificate? What we are saying now is that there is a something entity called you. 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 Now, in a case whereby you don't die, or someone dies in the replacement of you, or in replacement of you, or there is an inheritance, or there is hereditary per money, per properties, inheritance, you maybe somewhat an uncle dies, and a male or a female is made the next of kin, or next of kin. The real thing needed in the bank, as was read for those that do not really understand what it is. The real thing needed in the bank is, if you die today, your next of kin will not have any access to the money in your accounts. Now, to go through all this again, for those that are just joining us, this is Independent TV 7. We're talking about next of kin. The question now is, so next of kin is useless in the bank, especially in the country we have, in this part of the world that we have. We call it Africa, we call it Nigeria, or thereabout. But I'm speaking on behalf of those that their names has been put under the watchword next of kin. Now, again, it says, if you die today, your next of kin will not have any access to the money in your bank account or to the properties, especially in the bank account. So many Nigerians, I think that their next of kin is the automatic heir to the account or to the account. But the truth is that if your next of kin is not a signatory, I repeat, if your next of kin is not a signatory to your account. Now, simply, they will say simply Saka. In a simple form, let's look at it this way. What is a next of kin? Who is a next of kin? It simply means, for those that I believe may not really understand the vocabulary or the grammar or what next of kin stands for, it simply means, let me speak it in PG. Next of kin, whether they talk, we say the person. For instance, you're a father or a mother, you have an account or you get money for bank, and in all your form where you dey fill, you understand, they say make you put somebody in case whereby you can't pass away, or somebody passed away, and your name don dey as the next in line to receive that payment. E just be like say, okay, somebody be king, you understand, in pikin, after which the oba don die, the king don die, the pikin come gain the throne. That's the same way as what this thing or this narrative is talking about, next in line. To continue, so many Nigerians think their next of kin is the automatic heir to their account. But the truth is that if your next of kin is not a signatory to your account, and you don't have a written will to determine that person's legitimacy, the person will not have access to that money at all. Your bank will have to go through a rigorous process called a legal probate. I said it the other time, probation. So they want to know vividly if truly that person is the next of kin, both if that person is a signatory, then. But if that person is not a signatory to their account, next of kin is just next of kin. They just call them by that name, next of kin. They just not say one person, but that person still, if he's alive and is the next of kin, truly will have to be signatory, or we can't come bank, can't sign as per say, okay, now me they put my name for there, then every necessary document will be available, to be filled from the next of kin. Now, this probate period helps them determine who gets the money in your account. That means there's going to be a probation time. This is a very, very lengthy and expensive process, an expensive joke. For those that may not be aware, that next of kin is not just only written. You must have a signature on the will, or on the signature, or being a signatory to that same account, because it's a very, very lengthy and expensive process. Even after the whole process is done, your family will have to forfeit some very reasonable amount of the money for legal fees. Okay, but if you want to avoid this, now simply request for your bank to give you something called a POD form. POD stands for payable on debt. Payable on debt, DEATH, as per the narrative. Now, the name of the person you fill in that POD form will determine who will get your money. All the person needs, waiting the person need. Now, the person needs to bring is okay. All what the person needs to bring is a death certificate to get that money out. Now, with a POD form, you will save your family the stress of going through all that lengthy legal process and even losing some amount of money to the law. Hey, if time will permit us to go further, it will have been so very, very easy. Well, this way I'm going to draw the curtain. In our next article, we may continue. But if you want to drop any comment, go to the comment section very fast. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Independent TV 7. Thanks for listening and God bless you.